What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk with Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's get right into it. Stanley Cup final. Game 2 was Friday night. Panthers win a wild one, 5-4 against the Oilers in double overtime. Game ended at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Something crazy. Another crazy long game. Brad Marchand with 2 goals, including the game winner. He's been a great trade pickup, as we all expected. Of course, longtime Boston Bruin and probably future Hall of Famer. Connor McDavid, 3 assists in the loss. Florida evened up the series of 1 game apiece as the series shifts to Sunrise, Florida. Game 3 is tonight on TNT at 8 o'clock. We've had 2 absolutely incredible games, both going to overtime. Draisaitl winning game 1 off a great feed from McDavid in the last 30 seconds of overtime. And in game 2, just back and forth. You had that high-scoring first period. And we're going to get RedBox. I've not talked to him in a while. RedBox is going to jump in here, and we're going to talk to him. He's going to jump onto my Twitter space right here. And maybe we'll talk the Cup final. So, RedBox, how are you?
Long time no see. Hey, how's it going? I'm good. Just saw the notification and just kind of lying down, not really doing anything, so I thought I'd jump on. However long this goes on.
Absolutely. So, I can imagine you're watching the Cup final.
I unfortunately missed game 1.
Uh-huh.
I did catch game 2 on Friday night. Quite frankly, Edmonton shouldn't have even taken that to overtime. The fact that they did was impressive.
Yeah.
And then I felt, you know what? As soon as it went to overtime, though, I knew Florida was going to win.
Yeah.
I crawled into bed, fell asleep at the first intermission. I woke up, sure enough, Florida won in double.
Yeah, obviously Brad Marchand was the winner. He had 2 goals in the game. So the Machineers shifting back to Florida tonight. RedBox, who would you pick to win the series? Let's start with that. Who would you pick to win the series going in?
I mean, Homer/national pride pick. I went with Edmonton.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think
It's tough. It's tough.
It's very tough to say who's been the better team.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, it'd be Florida.
Uh-huh.
And it's close, right? But
yes.
If I, gun to my head, had to pick a better team, very difficult to say, but I'd say it's the Panthers. Just slightly more disciplined. They're way better at creating opportunities.
Right.
Throughout the entire series. 1-1 heading to Florida. It's I don't know. I think Edmonton would really. I think it's almost necessary that they take a lead out of the swing in Florida. I don't think they can, but I think it's almost necessary that they do now that they didn't get game 2. I see it being very difficult for Edmonton to play like that successly. Again, as I said at the opening, they're very lucky they even pushed game 2 to overtime.
Yeah, they didn't have the best opportunities late in that game, but they were getting shots. Like, if you look at the shots, they weren't that. There wasn't that much of a disparity, but the opportunities were much better for Florida. I think it was just a matter of time, like you said, and now before Florida pulled it out. And yeah, it would be very helpful if they can come out of Sunrise and head back to Canada with a lead in the series. Like, if you take 2 of them, you can go up 3 games to 2. Now you can win the series at home, and if not, you have the 1 game in Florida to do it. That would be tough, obviously, but it's been done before. You're down 3-2. Now you have to go back home and win, and then you got to go to Florida and win again. I don't think people realize, who maybe a little more casuals, how hard that is. So yeah,
not entirely. So in the NHL, Game 5 and 7 would be in Edmonton.
You're right. That's true. So, obviously, so you're gonna wanna. I still agree. You should try and take both in Florida, obviously, but 2-2 you can live with that. Obviously, you'd rather be up 3-1. However, if it goes on 3-1, there's no chance. Florida isn't blowing a 3-1 lead. They almost blew a 3-0 lead last year against this team. I cannot imagine that happens again. You add Brad Marshall into the mix, just his physicality, his goal scoring, and just his experience. Obviously, he won a cup in Boston. He's played in a lot of playoff hockey games with the Boston Bruins. Obviously, this is see where Florida, just him alone, and just I don't see this. I don't see that happening. See, we got Game 3 coming up, and back to Game 2. Yeah, they are kind of lucky that they did push that game to overtime. Also, they get to double overtime, and then Florida pulls it out. So we got Game 2. Now Game 3 is tonight.
Tonight, 8 p.m.
And so RedBox, have you caught any of the NBA finals?
Unfortunately, I watched basically the entirety of Game 1. 75% of that game I could have missed very easily.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter was the only compelling part of that game. And, well, of course, it was Oklahoma City absolutely combusting.
Jesus, that was a clops and a half.
Were they up 15 or 12 heading into the final frame?
Yeah, they were up by 18 at the. They were up by at the half, and they were up by, I think, 19 going into the fourth quarter. Or no, that's not right. They were up. Oh no, wait. I'm looking at the wrong game. Game 1, they were up by 12 at the half and by 9 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they absolutely died. Game 2, I turned it off 3 minutes into the third.
Yeah, that game was not really ever close. Indiana, they hung around for a while. They to the point where it wasn't like they were, or it wasn't like over at the half. Like it wasn't 35, but there was just I mean, the only reason a lot of us kept it on because it's Indiana and they've had some crazy comebacks in these playoffs, but they never really were truly threatening to pull that game back.
3 full NBA games this entire playoffs. One was Game 1. And all of them have been because I've either been streaming them for people or other people have been streaming them and we've all been watching it together. I watched one of the weekend games in I believe it was the Knicks-Pacers series. It was the one that the Knicks absolutely dog-walked them in. I watched, I think it might have been the first game of the second round series with the Thunder.
Okay.
And then I watched Game 1. Those are the only games I've watched from start to finish.
Okay.
A lot of people have been saying this has been a really good NBA playoffs. I mean, by their standards, I suppose. But there was a couple exciting Game 7s that I tuned in and out of.
Right.
I haven't totally ignored the NBA playoffs between the games, but there's just so much other stuff on at the same time that almost always seems to be superior in both quality and intensity.
Yeah, there's been a lot of upsets. You had obviously Indiana is in the finals. They beat Cleveland in the second round. Knicks beating the Celtics in the second round. So there's definitely been some upsets. It's been some crazy games.
I'll give that to Indiana. I did not think.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of thought they could get past the Knicks. But I did not see them beating the Cavs. I'll give them that. They were definitely an underdog team in the final.
Right.
It's hard because in these games they're exciting for about 5 minutes, and in Game 2, those 5 minutes were in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Those 5 minutes were in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this, RedBox. I assume, were you like everyone? Did you pick the Thunder to win the series?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I said in 4 or 5 games even.
Yeah.
Which I think that'll hold. I think the Pacers got their obligatory game in the series, and I think they will more or less fade into the darkness now.
Yeah, I picked Thunder to win in 6 at the top of it. I didn't think they get run off the floor like some people were saying. This is a team that's really fast and really good, and they've been one of the league's best teams really since the All-Star break. I just think their magic is going to run out at some point.
And to take maybe a more unique angle on it, as a Canadian, you can't really be mad either way.
Yeah, you got Siakam on the Pacers, and then Shea's from Canada.
Siakam's not Canadian. He's
he won a championship with the Raptors. Yeah.
There's several Canadians on the like actual Canadians on the Pacers as well.
Okay.
Siakam is he Angolan?
I don't know where he's from. He's not from America or Canada, but he obviously
he's African.
Yeah.
Echo. What's the nationality of Pascal Siakam?
Yeah, that one.
Cameroon.
Oh, he's from Cameroon. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, he's not Canadian, but he won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. And then you mentioned Indians got some Canadian players, and now the Thunder are led by Shea.
Yeah, no, as a Canadian, like there is homegrown talent on both teams. So,
yeah.
I mean, I love to see the SGA finally got the MVP that I think he deserves, and I mean, you could have made an argument for him getting it last year. I
thought he should have won it last year, to be honest.
Apparently, Charles Barkley agrees with me on that.
And Shaq too. I think that whole desk did.
But I think it was great that he got it this year. A lot of people were saying Jokic should have got it this year.
I think he would have probably won any other year. His numbers were ridiculous. However, I think what Shea was doing was a little bit more impressive than some of the underlying stats of Jokic. So I thought it was Shea this year.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. Will I watch games 3 and 4 and go beyond that? Maybe. We'll see. The only reason I probably will is because I have friends who are all doing watch parties for them.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course, I'm friends with a whole bunch of basketball nuts for some reason. I don't know why, but I am. So you might
as well tune in. So you might as well tune in. That's very fair. But yeah, game 3, Thunder went 123-107 in game 2. Pretty much coast to coast, post to post. 34 for.
There was a little bit of a comeback in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they a couple of times they crawled back like. August would go up like 20-22. Indiana would make it like 16 or 14, or like, oh, here we go again, and then Thunder would kind of pull away again. That was kind of most of the game, but Thunder ended up winning by 16, even up to one game apiece, and then game 3 shifts to Indiana. That will be on Wednesday at 8:30 on ABC. So that's the NBA Finals. That's the cup. Yeah, it's annoying. I get it. You know, if there's no travel, you give them just the 1 day off. You give them the 2 days off if they have a travel day.
Like Indiana to OKC.
That's not that big of a trip, right?
Not huge.
Yeah,
Edmonton to Florida, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Edmonton to Florida is a bit of a trek, but Indiana to OKC.
It's not the.
What is that?
Well, it's not a big. I mean, I'm not a geography guy by any means, but that's not a big long trip. I can't imagine.
500 miles.
It's not that bad.
Like it's a 2-hour plane ride, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have friends who live in OKC. I could probably ask them.
Yeah, and like one thing that didn't make sense, like the Knicks and Celtics did not need 2 days off in between games when they played. Like I could drive to Boston from my house in New York. It would be nauseating because the traffic would be god awful, but
3-4 hours.
Yeah, I could be there in a few hours by car. Like I live in New York. Like they didn't need the extra day off when they traveled.
They probably took a bus.
Yeah. Like they need to get you don't need to get on a plane to go from New York to Boston.
the NHL is doing it.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah.
Yeah, the NHL. I mean, again, they kind of have to. Um, well, is there a 2-day breaks between games 4 and 5 in the NHL? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd imagine there would be 2-day gaps between games 5 and 6 and 6 and 7 as well.
Possible.
So maybe it's more just not competing because, unfortunately, I do understand it in a viewership sense, but I will never, from a standpoint of quality, I will never understand why the NBA can just walk in and eat the NHL and MLB's lunch whenever they want to.
Yeah. From a viewership standpoint, yeah, it does make a lot of sense why they would not have them on the same day.
I at least get it with the
Yeah.
NFL, you know? Well, I at least get why the NFL draws so, like, why they can just basically walk in and do whatever they want. You know, like on Christmas, they had 3 or 4, mind you, great NBA matchups. The Christmas Day games.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyable. The NFL had a couple absolute garbage blowouts.
Oh, terrible.
They absolutely murdered the NBA. And they were on Netflix.
That's right. They were Netflix games.
They were on Netflix, and the quality of the broadcast was less than awesome.
It was not great. It was not very good.
And they're doing it again this year.
I know.
Apparently.
Yeah, they're doing the Christmas games again, and I'm assuming they're gonna have the Black Friday game again. It's stupid. It's at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Streaming deals again. Except, are they doing Monday night Amazon Prime or Thursday night Amazon Prime again?
Yeah, they have the rights to Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, like we're not subject to any of those ridiculous rules up here. And I know how to get access to the broadcast from the UK. So even if we were, we wouldn't be. So we get all the broadcasts, but at least they put it through a more or less quality controlled broadcast on TSN or Sky Sports.
Yeah.
So we don't get the absolute fallout that, and Amazon Prime they do a little bit better with streaming coverage than Apple TV or Netflix, but it's still not. I still don't like it.
Yeah, I can imagine the streaming. It's a little annoying.
And they're doing it with NASCAR now too. They have the Michigan race, one of the and the Charlotte race, a couple weeks back. There's 2 of the, I would say, marquee races on the calendar, both Prime Video exclusives. That absolutely floors me that they do that.
Yeah, it's kind of on the fence. Like, I feel like a lot of people have the services that they use. Like, the ones that are being used the most that I've noticed are Prime, Netflix, and Peacock. I feel like most people have those.
A lot of what's on Peacock isn't exclusive to Peacock.
That's true. A lot of that it does go on NBC.
A lot of the exclusive content to Peacock is either very niche by American standards, or it's just not exciting.
Yeah, there's like they have pro wrestling, they have soccer.
I think they had one NFL playoff game on Peacock that ruffled a few feathers. But other than that, they're not egregious offenders.
No.
Also, and they're tied to a broadcast network, so they also kind of know what they're doing from the outset. So even like Amazon Prime doesn't have a broadcast TV equivalent. Netflix doesn't have a broadcast TV. Apple TV certainly does not have a broadcast TV.
God, Apple TV is so bad. Terrible.
My Red Sox, which if I want to watch the TV broadcasts, unfortunately they don't offer local feeds, which if they did, I'd be watching them 11 times out of 10. They don't offer local feeds for those games. So it was not last Friday, but the one before that. I wanted to watch the end of the Red Sox game. We were at my aunt and uncle's for my graduation, and I wanted to watch the end of the Red Sox game, and it was the Apple TV cast, and not only were they not commentating the game, but they were completely off in La La Land talking about some other random thing that had nothing to do with the play on the field. It was amateur hour.
Oy. I remember the Mets were on Apple TV earlier this season. I don't remember who they were playing, and I wanted to watch the game, but I didn't have Apple TV, so I went on I was like, all right, if it's not paid, then I'll buy it. And it was like, all right, it was like, all right, I get a free trial. After the trial, I'll have to pay $10 a month. I was like, all right, I'll just get a free trial, and they'll cancel it next week. The broadcast was so bad, I canceled it about 10 minutes after the game. I was like, I am not taking a chance about forgetting about this and having to pay for this crap. This is embarrassing. Terrible.
Well, I mean, the way I get all the local broadcasts, thankfully, they also have the Apple TV broadcasts on there. But, my God.
It's not great.
It is, like, they just, like, first of all, I have no idea who the people are who are actually doing the games. Like, I don't, like, I guess they have probably worked in broadcasting for somebody at some point.
Yeah.
But they're not household names.
No.
Like, even when they do, like, Prime Video exclusives for a lot of things, or Peacock exclusives, whatever, normally they like, drag some notable name out to apologize for the disaster they put out. Apple TV is just like, I think the studio hosts are somewhat recognizable, but I've never heard of the commentators who are on them.
Oh yeah, like the Apple TV, they have they just grab a couple of people, not off the street, but like almost off the street.
No.
And then I remember for like the Mexican I watched on Apple TV, the sideline reporter, it was some lady. I never heard of her. She was just kind of whatever. Something that bothered me, she had like wireless headphones on. I was like, it seemed almost very just amateur hour. Like, this is Major League Baseball. I get it, it's Apple, so like, oh, God forbid it's it's not an Apple product, but so.
I'll be interested to see. Well, as you know, I'm sure ESPN is opting out of Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think they are the losers on that. In that, the MLB will figure that out.
Yeah.
They're opting out of Sunday Night Baseball after this season. They're opting out of MLB completely. I wonder who will snatch that up. I hope it's not TNT. Because I watched their French Open coverage.
Yeah.
Oh my God. McEnroe and Mary Jo Fernandez were the only saving graces on that.
Yeah.
And they had one of the semifinals. They had the McEnroe crew, which, right? I don't know how into tennis you are. I don't know. Did you catch any of the French at all?
I did not know.
They had John and Patrick McEnroe.
Oh wow.
Do Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic.
Oh wow.
Together. They were actually pretty good. Like,
I mean, they both know tennis, obviously. John obviously had a great career, and Patrick is his son.
Neither of them are actually commentators. They're both technically analysts.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. Like, they actually, I mean, I guess they're brothers too. They know each other.
Other brothers,
so
yeah.
They kind of were able to work it off that, I'm sure. But for the final, they had this. Well, I'll hold up the name real quick. It was some guy who had also done NBA on TNT, and like it was. Hold on, I have it here now.
Obviously, TNT just lost the NBA, so I don't know.
There we go. It was.
Oh.
Well, Adam Levko presenting. He's Brian Anderson.
Oh yeah, he's a basketball guy.
Brian Anderson
They had him doing tennis?
Tennis guy.
I like him, but his voice does not work for tennis.
Well, I mean, I like him in his element. His element is not tennis.
No, it's not.
He couldn't describe any of the points after they finished. He'd just be like, Alcaraz wins the point, or and McEnroe was clearly trying to like fill in for him. But it was so obvious. Like, and they're getting into more sports. They're doing the NHL, which unfortunately I know you've seen that.
Yeah.
They're absolutely botching that. Calling games from a studio in Atlanta, which thankfully they stopped. I worry that they succeed ESPN with Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, I like TNT overall. I mean, their basketball coverage was okay. I mean, the studio show was obviously great.
It was great. No, it was great. But they'd also had it for years, and they had a team of people who knew what they were doing.
Yeah. And with baseball, I don't know how many baseball guys they have. They'll have to bring in somebody. They're gonna have to bring in some guys because they really don't have any baseball guys over there. I mean, I think outside of Brian Anderson, who I do like, I thought did a good job in the playoffs this last year. Other than that, I don't know how many baseball guys they have. So
thankfully, their baseball broadcasts are non-exclusive, so I can still get the feed from Nesson.
Okay, yeah.
If the Red Sox somehow end up on that.
Speaking of Nesson,
I actually very much enjoy the Red Sox TV broadcast because the guy who, the main commentator for them, well, his name is escaping me at the moment. He used to be the radio guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dave O'Brien. He's very good.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of them, so have been playing.
I was hoping to get to that. Sorry.
That's okay. They have been playing well lately. However, they take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Do you think they're gonna turn this thing around, or?
So I did catch the end of the game on Friday and about 70% of the game Saturday night. Fortunately, we did not win on Friday. But high-scoring affairs. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's part of our problem. First of all, our pitching is just it's improving so slowly that you can barely tell it.
Yeah, they have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of injuries in the rotation. The bullpen outside of Chapman has not been great.
And we have great bats. Our bats are not the problem.
No.
Our pitching, yeah, well, it needs some work. We're, I believe, only beating out the Orioles in the AL East at the moment, which right now is not an accomplishment.
No. They're playing better, but they just started so bad. Obviously, they made the change with the manager there.
I still think we are very much in the race for a wild card position. I'm not ready to give up on it. I think as long as we can continue to just outscore our opponents in shootouts, which, to be fair, we've been mid at this season. But we've been more or less doing it. Problem is, I feel like we almost play better against good teams, and then someone like the Angels come in, and we completely forget what we're doing. And which I don't know what the Angels' record is this season. I don't think it's great.
They got hot for a while and got back to 500, but then they kind of fell off again.
Yeah. And rumors are Devers is looking elsewhere.
After having that happen, I think people were like speculating like he's a $300 million DH. Breezewell didn't give him the contract. Could he get moved?
No, I think that was kind of the thing. Like, we're permanently putting him in at DH. I think that was kind of, or that seems like what they're doing. They've kind of been ambiguous about it. Like, maybe we'll leave the opportunity for him to do some fielding if he wants to, but I think they more or less made him the permanent DH.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the incentive to say stay because, my God, they can't bother to put up a couple more $1 million.
Exactly.
That's too much. Like, and Fenway Sports Group have the money. I know
they very much so do. They very much so do.
They're making a killing right now off their European soccer.
Yes, they have plenty of dollars to spend.
They're not willing to, and that's been the problem for years. And I think I said that on this show.
I believe so. Yes.
That's. It's not an issue of do we have the money? We do. It's an issue of do we actually want to put up the money? And we don't, apparently, which is because we lost bets because of that. We lost quite a few others because of that. We could have a competitive team that easily could be gunning for the division title, maybe even an American League title. I'd be hesitant to say a World Series title because our pitching has never really been outstanding. But we've lost a lot of good bats. I call us the farm team for the rest of the MLB. we develop. We have one of the best, bar none, one of the best minor league systems in the league. And then they get up to the majors and they go elsewhere. Because they realize they're not going to be paid what they're owed.
Yeah. When is Roman Anthony coming up? That situation's bizarre. I don't know why he's not up.
I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. The kid's killing it. He's one of the league's best prospects. He clearly has potential to be great. They'll want offensively, they're they have legit offense, but they could use another bat. Story for a while was struggling. Campbell, though he had a good series against the Yankees, has been struggling. At one point, Marcelo Mayer was in cleanup, and then
and our bats have been again Story's hot somehow. I don't know how that happened now. Narvaez is just absolutely.
He's been playing some good baseball. Let me tell you, he had a big home run last night.
He has been
very good.
I feel like underappreciated players. Just not only on the Red Sox. I think
he stepped up because I think Connor Wong-Eater hasn't played well or he's missed time, and he's done a good job this year.
Yeah, I think Red Sox fans understand what he's bringing to the team, but I think he kind of gets overshadowed in the rest of the league, which is crazy. Well, obviously, if you're playing fantasy, which I think this is my final season of fantasy baseball. If you're playing fantasy, you're paying attention to
right.
it. But we don't need more bats. We need to. First of all, we need to retain the ones we have, and then we need to pick up 2 or 3 more starting pitchers.
Yeah, they have so many injuries, and what probably should have happened, they have so many bats. They should have moved 1 or 2 for some pitching. They did make some moves in the offseason. Obviously, the big trade for Crochet. You signed Walker Buehler, but you knew Walker Buehler was going to be hurt to start. He's obviously he pitched a little bit last year, but the arm injuries in the past, and then you lose a couple of guys in spring. You probably should have moved somebody. Not saying they should have traded. I know Willie Abreu was in trade talks throughout the offseason. Maybe not him. He has been very good for them, but I'm not sure. They probably should have moved somebody for some pitching, and they're both putting out staff. Chapman isn't great either.
No, and again, I think wild card maybe. I'm not ruling it out yet. We're not even at the All-Star break.
Right, still early.
Still early. Still time. I don't. Who are we playing this week? I think we have another series against the Yankees coming up in the not too.
Yeah, I think next weekend.
This weekend, that's what I thought.
Yeah, in Boston.
Today there's 9 games. I think. Oh no, we play the Rays.
Okay, so
at home.
Got a little AL East run here with the Yankees sandwich with the Yankees and sandwich with the Rays in between.
That is a crucial series.
Yeah, the Rays have been not as bad as I thought. However, not like a huge threat. But yeah, it's a if for a team that's not playing well, you take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, and then you take care of the Rays, and then you got a series at home against the Yankees. That puts you in a good. All of a sudden, you think, all right, you win. Assuming it's 3 against the Rays, that's 6 wins right there. That could put you at least back. Get you back above the 8 ball at least.
If we win the series, we're 32 and 35 right now. The Rays are 35 and 30. We're not jumping into third if we sweep the Rays. It's not quite enough. I mean, we have the Rays have a couple games in hand also, but I think we have to go for the sweep in this series.
That would be nice if you can win both against the Yankees and sweep the Rays. That would put them in the position to okay, this is still a good team, and you can make the playoffs.
Because we play the Rays tonight at 6:10, tomorrow night at 6:10, and I imagine Wednesday's an afternoon game. No, it's another 6:10. And then the Yankees is a weekend series. I imagine we don't have Sunday Night Baseball 2 games in a row. No, we don't. 6:10, 6:15, and 12:30, or 7:10, 7:10, and 1:35. So,
okay.
I mean, we got to go on a run. These divisional games are crucial.
Absolutely, and you got it's still early. It's June 9th, but
and then we go to Seattle the next day. That's brutal.
And then you got the trade deadline low under 2 months. I'm sure by like July, they're gonna probably want to at least be above 500 so they can be in a position where they can buy and make a playoff push. Yeah, they're very close. There's no reason they shouldn't be, but
yeah. 3 games under 500. There's a few games that could have gone. There's more than a few games where we could easily be over 500 if we weren't so spectacular at blowing very easy leads. We'd be well over 500 right now.
Yeah, they've had some tough losses for sure. Obviously, sandwiched with the drum with Rafael Devers. Just mind-boggling decision to not call up Roman Anthony. It's been a tough year. They started off. It's a shame because they started off very good. They made a lot of moves in the offseason. They started off well. Trevor Storer was hitting .330 in April. Christian Campbell started off really, really well. He was Rookie of the Year favorite early on. And they've kind of fallen off, but they had a really tough May. However, they've looked a little better in June. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But all right, Redbox, I'm gonna finish off here. I'm talking some pro wrestling. If you want to stay on, you're more than welcome to. If not, feel free to head out. Thank you for talking.
Yeah, if you're going to pro wrestling, I think I'm going to take a shower.
Sounds good. Redbox, thank you. Of course, you're welcome anytime, and take care.
Yeah, see you, man.
That was Redbox. Haven't talked to him in a while, actually, so that was good to talk to him. He's gonna head out, and we will finish up here with WWE recap. On Saturday, we had a big day. Start off in the afternoon with Worlds Collide AAA event. This was obviously really exciting. Of course, WWE purchased AAA a couple of months ago. Started off with Rey Mysterio coming out. Hopefully, this means he's coming back from his injury. You know, he had a really tough injury rip for WrestleMania. Fortunately, he couldn't do the match with a Grande Americano or Chad Gable. It's Chad Gable, guys. Okay, let's not be stupid here. So he did that promo in Spanish, which was very cool. Then he comes out. Then the first match was a 6-man tag between LWO, which was Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Dragon Lee against Lince Dorado, Octagon Jr. and no, it was LWO and Lince Dorado. It was Dragon Lee. I think it was Cruz del Toro. No, not del Toro. It was Wild, Dragon Lee, and Lince Dorado against Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana. I was not aware of Mr. Iguana, but man, that guy is that's a character for you. That's something else. And that was an exciting match. I personally enjoyed it. Octagon and the Guana and then the AAA team there pick up the win. And then obviously you had Dom Mysterio sitting with Liv Morgan ringside. He kind of gets into it with Octagon Jr. And he ends up calling out Octagon Jr. set up an Intercontinental match later that night at Money in the Bank. But that was an exciting match. I got to see more of Mr. Iguana, though. That guy he's something else. I don't know what to call him. And then the women's match was Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice from NXT against Chick Tormenta and Dales in a women's tag match. Vaquer and Vice pick up the win. That was a solid match. Both of them doing the Devil's Kiss, the crowd getting into it, taking over Booker T. Was a lot of fun. That was a solid match. I think Vaquer has been very busy this past week. A lot of wrestling for her. Then you had Legado del Fantasma, of course, Santos Escobar, Humberto Carrillo, and Angel Garza. And it's El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. This was a decent match in a six-man tag. The Legado del Fantasma picks up the win. Haven't loved the run they've been on. I liked them as individuals. Santos, I really think that they killed all of his momentum after he turned on Ray. I was hoping he would be a really top-tier mid-card guy. And the feud of Ray really didn't go as well as I thought it was going to be. And then they kind of killed his momentum, putting him with Angel and Humberto. Again, I like those guys as individuals. They're talented. I wish Humberto would get rid of that stupid, chest scar. It's obviously fake. It looks so dumb. I don't know what they're doing with that, but they're trying and trying and trying. This group is just not really getting over, and their matches really, they're maybe a little entertaining from, the high-flying perspective, but other than that, it's just not getting over. I think they may need to pivot, because it's everything they've tried. They had them in a feud with Karrion Kross's group before they let go of the AOP. That never really went anywhere. Just kind of dragged on for too long, and just, they've had them in that whole triangle with DIY and the Street Profits, and it hasn't, and that stuff wasn't horrible, but just didn't really nothing really came of it. And they may need to pivot to something else. NXT North American Championship. Ethan Page defended in a Fatal 4 against Javon Evans, Ray Fangs, and Laredo Kid, who is a AAA guy. That match was incredible. Ethan Page retains. That was an incredible match. Ethan Page is really good. That guy, he's going to be one of the better heels I think wrestling has for a while. He's just such a natural heel. Most guys, just looking at him, it's like, yeah, I don't like you. You're a heel. Javon Evans, 21 years old. He's amazing. He's going to be in WrestleMania main eventer at some point. And Ray Fenix, that guy is really good. That was a big pickup by WWE when his contract ran up in AEW. They picked him up. They got to get him on TV more. That guy is really, really good. That was a phenomenal match. And then AAA Mega Championship, Io de Devacchino against Chad Gable. That match was perfect. The stuff they were doing was just insane. One of the best matches of the year. Absolutely incredible. Vecchino picks up the win. He retains. That guy, wow. I'm not too familiar with AAA guys, as a lot of us aren't. But wow. That movie, when he did, the kick to Gable's head, and then he did, that, flip from, the stage, of the ring to, onto Gable. That was one of the best moves I've ever seen. That was crazy. Incredible match. Kenya wins. They got to give Chad Gable a push. He's so good in the ring. He's amazing. Cruiser Corey Graves, he had to carry a lot on the broadcast, on the mic as a broadcast. He did a really good job. I really wish they would put him back on the main roster, not just with NXT. I've kind of had enough of Pat McAfee, and he's just not very good. But he did a good job. And Conan, I get why he was there. He's a legend in AAA circles, and he told some funny stories, and he knows a little bit about the lore of AAA wrestlers. But God, he's got to lean into this a little more. He was so boring, put me to sleep. But Graves really had to carry on commentary. Then Money in the Bank. We opened up with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Naomi wins. She is Miss Money in the Bank. She defeats Alexa Bliss, Julia, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie Vaquer. She's Miss Money in the Bank. Very good match. I'm very happy for Naomi. She's been through a lot. She came up. She was one of the pterodactyls with Brodus Clay. Then she had a little run. She was women's champ for a while. She had to drop it because she was injured. And then she becomes tag champ with Sasha Banks. She ends up quitting. She wasn't happy with Vince. Leaves, goes to TNA for a while. Had that great feud with Jordan Grace. Was TNA champ for a while. Returns to the Royal Rumble last year. And she's done a great job as a heel. Her feud with Bianca and mainly Jade was great. And she's done a great job as a heel. And now she's Miss Money in the Bank. I'm very, very excited for her to become the next to become a champ in the future. She's done an amazing job, and she definitely deserves this. Naomi is Miss Money in the Bank. Then we had Dominic Mysterio, obviously in this match that was put together last minute with Octagon Jr. for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a decent match. You obviously had to keep this shorter because Octagon had just only a couple hours ago had a pretty long match. Shorter matches does not mean it's bad. It's a common misconception in wrestling. In fact, shorter a lot of times is better. Derby Dom picks up the win. It was a good match. Dom retains the Intercontinental Championship. I'm telling you, they need to have him wrestle more. This reign hasn't been very good because he just hasn't been wrestled. It's been all like short backstage segments with like Roxanne and Liv and Finn. Like, yes, that's important because you're pushing the storyline with like the Judgment Day clash going on right now, but you got to have him wrestle too. He's the Intercontinental Champion. And Becky Lynch steals the Intercontinental Championship, defeating Lyra Valkyria in what was a pretty solid match. And obviously rolls her up and grabs the tights. Obviously, Lyra had to raise her hand. She made her do it to all four sides, and then she had her put the title on her, but then Lyra slams her into the turf in frustration. So at first, I was a little upset. The more I think about it, the more this makes a little more sense than I originally thought. Based on the way they ended, this feud obviously isn't over. They're going to go for a trilogy. I'm hoping it's an Evolution 2, which they're doing next month. I'm happy that they're doing that. It was kind of forced the first time. Time was never right. Triple H said it in the press conference afterwards. And the time is definitely right now. Hopefully that's some sort of stipulation, maybe Hell in a Cell or a steel cage or something like that. But I'm not sure if they'll have Lyra win it back. But kudos to Becky for helping uplift Lyra. Lyra's done a great job, obviously. And now Becky's really she's getting a true Grand Slam champion in women's wrestling. She's won all the women's world titles. Women's tag title, been NXT champion on the women's side. Now she's the Intercontinental champion. Only women's championship has won is obviously the United States Championship. Of course, those two mid-card titles were only introduced this past year. So, first didn't like it, but the more I think about it, the more it does make some sense. And they have to make sure that they finish this feud off really well. But if they do that, this will make some more sense. And then we had Men's Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins wins the Men's Money in the Bank. So that match was absolutely incredible. Crazy finish. Of course, Solo Sikoa was about to win and then Fatu. The first Rollins' hooligans came out, Braun and Bronson Reed. Then he had Fatu and JC Mateo come out. And then they wreaked havoc. Fatu, that Simone drop on Bronson was insane. That guy is so good. Then he looked like he was going to help Solo, and then he grabs Solo and then says, "I hate you, Solo." It finally happens, and he takes out Solo Sikoa. He turns on Solo Sikoa finally. And then Rollins ends up taking LA Knight to win the Money in the Bank. A lot of people were upset about LA Knight. I would have been very happy if LA Knight won this match. Rollins didn't need to win. You could have had him. The King of the Ring tournament starts tonight on Raw, and the winners of the King and the Queen of the Ring will get a world title shot at SummerSlam once again. And you could have had him win that and fight Jey Uso at SummerSlam and win the championship there. However, if you're not gonna have Roman Reigns come back and cost him, then you probably should have him win because clearly the end game is they're building towards him being Jey Uso for the Heavyweight Championship. So, don't hate. I get Ellen Knight 3 years in a row. I like Ellen Knight as much as the next guy, but I get it. I do think he's more of like an upper mid-card guy. Also a world champion, though. He probably should be world champion once or twice in his career. He's very over. Remember, he's not the youngest guy in the world. He kind of started late, so he's already in his 40s. So, I get it. However, I wasn't super mad Seth Rollins won. I'll say this. Seth Rollins deserves to be the man, which he is right now. And to me, he's done a great job. I love his group. I think they're calling it Vision. He's obviously one of the all-time greats. I think that's pretty clear. But because of how great Roman is and because he came up with Roman, he's kind of always been in his shadow. I'm happy that he's getting a chance to be the man now. he deserved that right, and so for that, I can live with him getting the nod over M1I for Money in the Bank. Then you had the tag match: John Cena and Logan Paul against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Cody and Jey win. Crazy ending. First of all, that spot, a couple of really cool spots that Logan did. He had like with the drone where when he got super flex and then got hit by Cody and got hit for frog splash by Jey was really cool. And then the moonsault that he did off the top rope onto the announce table was insane. That was a crazy spot. Really cool. Very impressive. And R-Truth is back. We thought he was fired. He is not. He returns. He spears John Cena, costs him the match. Cody and Jey win. And by the way, can we stop saying this is a work? R-Truth just confirmed it. Every dirt sheet confirmed it. They saw the fan backlash, like, oh crap, we screwed up, and they called him and brought him back. Your voice matters. You want Kevin Cross to get a push? Keep tweeting it, keep saying it. Our voice definitely matters, okay? So, keep doing that, and this was not a work. R-Truth is back. That's freaking awesome. So happy. But Triple H and TKO, you get no credit. Triple H saying, oh, it's part of a shout. No, it was not, dude. Shut up, okay? It was not. You know what happened. And, all we have to say was this. Your voice matters. All I had to say, and you couldn't even do that. That was a weak response for Triple H. I'm sorry. Very, very weak. But R-Truth is back. Great match. I was very happy with the pay-per-view. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. And have a great day.